How's your day going? Hey everyone, welcome. We're Mind Window, and this is our very first full-length podcast episode. Before we dive into today's main topic, I really want to take a moment to thank all of you for your incredible love and support for Mind Window over the past few months. Can you believe it? Mind Window is just over 3 months old, and we've already found our place in the podcasting community. I'm so incredibly grateful for that, and I truly hope we can continue this journey together for a long, long time. As you might know, Mind Window started as a series of mini podcasts, each one usually beginning with the question, why? We base this on the first principles thinking method. Essentially, I ask a series of why questions to deeply understand an event or a problem, allowing us to better explore how the issue developed and then figure out a solution. The question of how versus why, sometimes we get so caught out in the how that we forget the crucial role of why. And let me tell you, when you answer the why, problems often resolve themselves much more smoothly. How to manage difficult emotions. Now, let's get back to today's main discussion. In our last mini podcast, we explored the why behind kicking the dog, that phenomenon where we take out our anger on someone or something unrelated to the actual cause. This time, responding to that why, this full-length episode will dive deeper into the how and share the methods I've learned to better manage those challenging emotions within myself. A quick note, this podcast discusses common, difficult emotions that affect everyone. However, if you're experiencing severe or persistent negative emotions, please understand that this could be a clinical condition. In such cases, it's crucial to seek help from a qualified mental health professional, like a therapist or psychiatrist, to receive timely and appropriate treatment. So, why do we even need to manage our emotions? I remember the first time my dad got a smartphone. He kept asking me how to connect to Wi-Fi, how to make a call, how to set up Facebook. It was a scorching summer afternoon. I had just gotten home from school, drenched in sweat, after arguing with a friend and getting yelled at by my teachers. I was already boiling inside, and no matter how many times I showed my dad, he just couldn't grasp it. I repeated myself over and over, and he still couldn't do it. At that moment, all my pent-up frustrations just exploded. I snapped, yelling, "Why don't you get it? I've told you 100 times. Just stop asking. I don't know." I stormed off to my room, leaving my dad sitting there in silence. I can only imagine how heartbroken he must have felt in that moment. When I was tiny, barely able to babble, my dad patiently guided my every step, taught me every word, and fed me every spoonful of food. And yet, there I was, lacking the patience to do the same for the very person who had dedicated so much time to guide me. We kick the dog. We lash out at subordinates or our loved ones because it gives us a quick release for negative emotions with seemingly few consequences. This phenomenon was actually identified by psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud through the concept of displacement, taking out our anger on someone weaker than ourselves. To put it bluntly, we bottle up our frustrations and don't dare talk back to our superiors because it would cause too many problems. But when it comes to our loved ones, we somehow assume that our outbursts will always be forgiven. But here's the thing, who truly ends up carrying the weight of those negative emotions? It's you, and it's your loved ones. A quote that changed my perspective. It's clear that we can find hundreds of videos and lectures on how to avoid negative thoughts or overcome difficult emotions. But in the end, we often still find ourselves stuck in a spiral of frustration, lashing out at others. I'm no different. I have to admit, I used to have a very short fuse. However, a powerful quote recently helped me gain control and slowly begin to change. Emotions are not problems to be solved. They are signals to be interpreted. Vironika Tugaleva. This means that emotions aren't issues we need to fix. Rather, they are signals that need to be understood and clarified. Why aren't emotions problems to be solved? According to psychologist Paul Ekman, emotions are our attitudes, our varying reactions when we encounter something. This means that different situations evoke different emotions in different people. And here's something you might not know. Our brains register emotions even before our conscious awareness. That's right, emotions appear before thoughts. In a very brief moment, emotions don't just influence us, they actually drive immediate behavioral responses. This means emotions are innate, instantaneous, and instinctual. When faced with an event, people have different reactions and emotions. Therefore, emotions themselves aren't the problem. The reason those emotions appear is the problem. Suppressing emotions. Unfortunately, even today, expressing emotions is often defaulted as a weakness that needs to be overcome, and from that idea, emotional suppression emerges. Suppressing emotions means avoiding, trying to push away feelings we don't like. This manifests in many forms, like excessive shopping, overworking, or turning to substances and alcohol to numb or trick our emotions. However, those feelings we dislike are still there. They don't just disappear. It's like compressing a spring. The longer and harder you press it down, the more force it builds up until eventually you can't hold it anymore. When you let go, that spring will snap back with incredible force. 2. Why are emotions signals? Whether they're negative or positive, all emotions carry meaning. Behind every emotion is a message. If positive emotions are signals confirming that you're on the right track, the negative emotions are a powerful call to action. So what action do we need to take? We need to understand and clarify our emotions. According to Nick Wignall, an American clinical psychologist and host of the Mind and Mix podcast, we can use the following steps to regulate our emotions. 1. Hit the pause button. The moment you feel even a slight flicker of discomfort or something unsettling inside, just stop for a moment. 2. Take a breath. To regain your balance, turn to your breath. Focus your attention on it. Taking a few deep breaths will help your body and mind find peace again. It shifts your focus away from unhelpful thoughts and allows your emotions to either dissipate or diminish on their own. 3. Emotional labeling. I have to admit, countless times when I felt sad or discouraged, I tell myself, "Why are you being so weak? Don't make such a big deal out of it." I even used that approach to comfort others when they were upset. What's there to be sad about? Cheer up, everything will be fine. But was everything truly fine in the end? Not at all. In those moments, I was just avoiding my true feelings. Emotional labeling means naming the emotion you're experiencing without judging it as good or bad, and then starting to ask why questions. Where did this feeling come from? What issue is it connected to? For example, I was leaving work, it was pouring rain, and I was stuck in a sea of cars and people watching the red light count down. Then, a few drivers blatantly cut in line right in front of me. I felt myself losing control, negative thoughts swirling, and I almost blurted out a swear word. But as my eyebrows started to furrow, I recognized that unsettling feeling inside. I applied the steps. Pause, breathe, then think. I realized I was feeling angry, but not really because of the lane cutters. It was because I was stuck in traffic in the rain. The takeout food I bought would get cold, and my family would be waiting for dinner. I pulled out my phone and called home to let everyone know I'd be late and the food might be cool. My mom said, "It's okay, honey, we can just reheat it. Just drive carefully. The thunder and lightning are pretty intense." Right after that, I felt myself calm down and the anger subsided. By naming the emotion, my brain began to regulate step by step, organizing the initial rush of feelings and allowing other parts of my mind to settle down. Now, let's try a slight variation of that situation. What if, by chance, the lane cutter heard my swear word and started yelling back at me? What if they continued to cut me off, making me even more frustrated? I'd get angrier and angrier, but there would be nothing I could do. I'd get home, and when my parents asked what was wrong, I wouldn't say a word, still fuming over the cold takeout. I'd angrily refuse to eat. My dad would then yell at me for being sullen and difficult to deal with, saying I wouldn't amount to anything. My resentment would only grow. Then a tense argument would erupt. Who ends up stuck with all those negative emotions? It's me, and it's my loved ones. Taking responsibility for emotions. We can't always choose what happens to us, but we can always choose our attitude towards it, how we respond. Taking responsibility for your emotions means you won't blame objects, events, or anyone else. While they might be the cause of your feelings, you are the one who decides how to react. Suppressing emotions versus managing emotions. Holding back and enduring are two distinct concepts. It's similar to the difference between suppressing emotions and managing them. When you get home, you might try to leave the negativity on the porch. But what about when you're out? Those frustrations and weariness are still out there. They persist, gradually building up, and one day they will explode. If, when you leave the house, those negative feelings still cling to you, that's suppression. That's holding back, trying to force down your inner grievances, preventing them from bursting out. Emotional management, on the other hand, means emotions are still expressed, but to a certain controlled degree. It means that when you get home, you can talk about those negative experiences without dumping them onto others. The art of patience takes time. True patience is a lifelong lesson that perhaps neither you nor I will ever truly master. But step by step, understanding the root of the issue will help us change ourselves immensely. Developing the habit of regulating emotions from negative to stable or positive takes time and practice. So don't worry too much if you've tried many ways and still haven't fully mastered controlling your emotions. A generation healing together. Our parents aren't therapists. They have their own struggles and challenges. When you understand how to manage your emotions, you can share that knowledge with them. Or, at the very least, when you become a parent yourself, you'll have different ways of responding to provide the best for your own children. Our generation, the young generation, is meant to be a generation that heals together. I truly believe we can achieve that. Breathe in, breathe out. If you've noticed, each Mind Window mini podcast is a piece of a puzzle on our TikTok channel, and this time, the puzzle theme is family. That's why this full-length podcast episode primarily focuses on family-related emotions, and we've chosen to set aside other types of feelings for now. Also, please remember that this video shares personal experiences, so what works for one person might not work for another. Ultimately, only you truly understand yourself best. Breathe in, breathe out. Have you answered the question that opened this podcast episode? How was your day?